Last Tuesday night, a woman named Jessica came home from work, and the second her key turned, she heard a scream from inside like something was hurt. The door opened about 4 inches, and her dog shot out like a bullet, spun around 3 times, barked twice, then peed a little right there on the mat. Jessica laughed and said, "Look how much my dog loves me." I didn't say anything right then, but what I watched was something more than love. Those same 10 seconds happen at your place every single day, and you think of them as the sweetest part of your evening. I'm telling you, that is the most important training session of your evening, and you're throwing it away every day. I know exactly what you're wondering right now. Is this really love, or is it stress? Therese Rand and Linda Keeling, 2 researchers at Uppsala, measured something simple. When the same dog was left alone for 4 hours instead of 2, the jumping, the barking, and the tail wagging all went up clearly once the person came back. Meaning the longer the dog is alone, the bigger the explosion. But the uncomfortable part starts right here. Because that explosion is not about seeing you, that is stored up pressure coming out. Let me give you one picture, and everything after that gets easy. Your dog's body sits there all day like a pressure cooker. The lock on your door is the safety valve. The sound of your key turning means the valve just opened, and every bit of steam came out in 1 second. Hold on to that valve picture, because we're coming back to it all through this video. So the question is, where did all that steam come from? You left the house at 7:30 in the morning. Your dog sits by the door, nose pushed into the gap, sniffing the hallway. That 1-inch gap under the door, a black nose stays pressed to it all day long. And that little gap is the only window your dog gets. In the first half hour, cortisol climbs in that body, and cortisol is the thing we call the stress hormone. In plain English, the body thinks danger, so it burns fuel to stay on alert. For us humans, that happens right before a job interview. For your dog, that happens every day, for 9 hours, for no reason at all. In the middle of the day, your dog sleeps. But that sleep stays light. The UPS truck stops outside, and your dog is up. The brown Amazon box drops on the porch, and your dog goes looking for your smell again, then lies back down. Those little wake-ups happen 20-25 times a day, and every single time the pressure inside that valve goes up a little. Now you come home, and what comes out of that dog isn't joy, it's relief. Takefumi Kikusui's team in Tokyo showed that when you and your dog hold eye contact, oxytocin releases in both of your bodies. That's the same chemical that works between a mother and her baby. So the love part isn't fake. But that's half of the story, and nobody tells you the other half. The people who work with dog behavior have known about this 20-second thing for years, but nobody wants to say it out loud, because that crazy door moment is what everybody watches. And this is where my biggest problem starts. And this is where I'm going to stand against almost every piece of training advice out there. You've heard it for sure. Leave the house calmly, don't say goodbye. I call that one the calm goodbye myth. The advice isn't wrong, it's just half. Because even if you handle those 30 seconds on your way out perfectly, you're doing the exact opposite thing in those 20 seconds when you come back. Think about what you actually do. You open the door and your voice jumps 2 levels higher. You drop both hands down and rub that head fast. You use that baby talk voice and say, "Who's home? Who's home?" And this exact math locks into your dog's head. The most excited state brings the biggest reward. Run that math 4,000 times, and it stops being a habit. It becomes a rule. And here's where I have to say the most uncomfortable thing. Your dog is not loving you more and more every day. Your dog is getting more and more dependent on you. Those 2 things are not the same, and a lot of people proudly mash them into one. And those people, the ones who record that crazy door moment and caption it best friend, they're really selling you a fear-based, conditioned thing as entertainment. Now you might be thinking, so am I supposed to ignore my dog? I know that question sounds fair, because that's exactly how I thought about it at first too. But I'm not talking about ignoring, I'm talking about timing. Same affection, same words, same hands. Give it 30 seconds later, and the whole meaning changes. Right about here, you might feel like the story is over, like you got your answer. Walk in calm and you're done. Hold on, because the real part hasn't even started yet. Because staying calm isn't a method. Staying calm is just a mood. And a mood does not break a 4,000-time habit. What breaks it is a rule you can put a clock on. This is the thing I call the 20-second attachment reset. 4 steps, no gear needed, no money needed. Step 1. Before you open the door, keep your car keys right in your hand and stand there for 3 seconds. Bring your own breathing down, because that nose on the other side already read everything about your body from under the door. Step 2. For the first 20 seconds after you walk in, you're not going to pretend your dog doesn't exist. You're just not going to give the dog an event. No eye contact, no saying the name. Take your shoes off, put the bag down, drop your keys in the bowl. Just be the most boring person alive. Those 20 seconds are when that valve opens slowly, not in one blast. Step 3. Pick a spot right beside the mat, a towel, a small bed, whatever you want. Show your dog that spot, and only when all 4 paws are on it, drop your voice down and give the affection. Step 4 is the shortest one and the hardest one. When you give that affection, you have to make the call by watching one part of that body, not the tail, not the face, the shoulders. If the shoulders are still tight, you wait another 10 seconds. When the shoulders drop, that's when your hand goes down. Because right in that moment, you're rewarding the calm body, not the excitement. I can't honestly tell you 20 seconds is enough for every dog. Some dogs need 40 seconds. That number isn't some lab rule. It's a line I measured myself, and it works in most homes. Now I need to tell you what actually happens in week 1, because this is where most people quit. Day 1 is going to go badly. Day 3 is going to go even worse. Because when the habit that always got rewarded suddenly stops working, your dog is going to try even harder. Higher jumps, sharper barking, maybe that little spot on the mat again. Don't read that as failure. That's actually proof the math is starting to change. On day 4, you'll catch the first small thing. Your dog jumps, then stops on its own. On day 7, your dog runs at the door, then looks over at the towel. That one glance right there is your whole training. What happens after 2 weeks is my favorite part. You walk in, your dog gets up, the body stays soft, and the biggest thing, your dog goes and lies down on its own first. That pressure cooker valve is still there. It's just hissing out slowly now instead of exploding. And this is where it gets a little gray, and I'm not going to hide that. Because your dog was doing all that wild stuff for you, and you're turning it down. Some people will say, you're taking your dog's love away. I'll say you're taking your dog's anxiety away, and the love is staying right where it was, just without the screaming. Standing between those 2 takes is where you have to decide which side you're on. And now let me say the last thing about those 20 seconds, the thing I didn't say at the start. Those 20 seconds are not really about calming your dog down. They're there to teach your dog that you coming home isn't an event. You coming home is a certainty. Events make you anxious. Certainty doesn't. Jessica's dog doesn't pee at the door anymore, and Jessica doesn't laugh and say, "Look how much this dog loves me." Now she says, "Look, today my dog wasn't scared of me." Now take a look at yourself. That crazy thing your dog does when it sees you, would you ever want to shut that down, or would you keep it because it's the most beautiful thing in your whole day? You already know my answer, so drop your answer below and tell me how many seconds it took your dog to settle down after you walked in today.